Hello, dear learners. Welcome to another session on phonetics. Today we will be seeing the topic vowels. So, all of us have been introduced to vowels from our young age. So, we all know there are five vowels in English: A, E, I, O, U. But phonetically, it is quite different. So, today let's see from the phonetic angle about vowels. So vowels are produced without any kind of obstruction or construction of airstream, and it is more musical in tone and prolong as long as we can hold our breath. So all the sounds that we produce, the vowel sounds, they can prolong as long as we can hold our breath. And according to phonetics, there are 12 vowel sounds, and they are called as pure vowels, and there are 9 diphthongs, that is combination of vowel sounds. So today's class we will be seeing about the vowels and the diphthongs and how they are described and how each sound is produced. So let's move on. So vowel classification accordingly is classified as front vowels, back vowels and central vowels. So what are front vowels? So front vowels are those vowels during the production of which, during the articulation of which, the front of the tongue is raised towards the hard palate and sounds like E in B, I in bit, I in bed, and A in bad are front vowel sounds. Next sounds are the back vowels. The back vowels are vowels that are produced during the articulation of which we see the back of the tongue is raised in the direction of the soft palate. So the sounds that are produced using the back of the tongue are R sound in cut, O sound in cot, O sound in caught, U sound in push, the oo sound in pool. So these are some of the sounds that are produced with the back of the tongue, also called as back vowel sounds. Next is the final classification, which is the central vowels. So for the production of central vowels, we see that the tongue is raised in the direction of that part of the tongue, of the mouth, where the hard palate and the soft palate meet. So the center of the tongue is raised towards the direction in which the hard palate and the soft palate meet. So we see the sounds in cup, heard, erd, then bead. We see that these vowel sounds, central vowel sounds, are produced. And how do we describe these vowels? It's based on the part of the tongue that is raised, whether it's the front of the tongue, the center of the tongue, or the back of the tongue. So during the articulation, whichever part of the tongue is raised, based on that we have classified the vowels. And then the height to which the tongue is raised, whether it's close, half open, or open. And then last is the position of the lip. If the lip is rounded, then it is called as a rounded vowel, meaning if the lip forms a oval shape, or when it's got a round shape during the production of the sound, then it's called a rounded vowel. And if it is unrounded, if the lip is not in a rounded position, then it is called an unrounded vowel. So here on we would be seeing the vowel diagram. So the vowel diagram is used to represent, the where which part of the tongue is used, and how close, whether it's close, half open, or if it's the open position. So all that is plotted on the vowel diagram. So this is how the vowel diagram is represented. So we have 4 front vowels, 3 central vowels, and 5 back vowels, and all these put together are called as pure vowels or monophthongs. And then you have 8 diphthongs. So we'll be seeing about the vowels and the diphthongs in using the vowel diagram. So each of the sounds we'll be analyzing in the coming slides. So first is all the front vowels. So there are 4 front vowel sounds. They are the long E, that is I with a colon mark, that denotes the long E sound. Then you have the short E, which is represented with the I sound. the I, and then you also have the A, which is represented with E, and the air sound. So to describe the long E sound, it is described as a front close unrounded vowel. So the I with two dots is called as a front close unrounded vowel, and it occurs in the initial, medial and final position of the words eat, beat and bee. Next is the short E sound represented with I. So the short E sound is called as a centralized front unrounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs initially, medially and finally in the words it, bit and city. Next is the A sound. The A sound is the E, it is represented with E. It is described as a front unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position, and it occurs initially and medially in the words any and pet, but it does not occur in the final position of any word. Next is the air sound. The air sound is described as a front unrounded vowel just below the half open position, and this sound, it occurs initially and medially in the words axe and bat, but it does not occur in the final position. So we see among the front vowels, the long E and the short E sound, they occur in the initial, medial and the final position, whereas the other two sounds, they do not occur in the final position of any word. So this was a description of all the front vowels, 4 front vowels. Moving on, we're going to see the description of the back vowels. So back vowels, there are 5 back vowels. They are the long oo sound represented with U and a colon, the short oo sound represented with U, and then you have the O, long O sound, which is represented with an inverted C with a colon, and then the short O sound, which is represented with the inverted C, and then we have the R sound. So to describe the long oo sound, it is described as a back close rounded vowel, because oo, when you produce oo, you see that the lip is rounded, so it's a back close rounded vowel, and it occurs initially, medially and finally in the words ooze, boot and to. So these words ooze, boot and to have the sound, the long oo sound. Next is the short oo sound. The short oo sound is described as a back rounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs medially in the word put sugar, and sometimes in an unaccented form it occurs in the word to. So we see that it does not occur in any other parts, that is the initial or the final position. Next we have the long O sound. So the long O sound is described as a back rounded vowel between the half open and the half closed position. So this vowel sound it occurs initially, medially and finally in the words ought, bought and law. Ought, bought and law. Next is the short O sound. The short O sound is described as a back rounded vowel just above the open position, and it occurs initially and medially in the words ox and pot, but it does not occur in the final position. Finally, we have the last vowel, back vowel, which is the R sound. The R sound is described as a back open unrounded vowel, and it occurs in the words initially, medially and finally art, part and car. So this is a description of all the back vowel sounds. So you have over here 4 rounded vowels and 1 unrounded vowel. Moving on to the last, central vowels. So central vowels, it has three sounds. So the three sounds are represented in the vowel diagram. So to describe the vowel sounds, to describe a sound which is like the inverted V, so it is described as a central unrounded vowel just above open position, and it occurs initially medially in the words up and cup. Next is the sound. This sound is described as a central unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words earn, learn, So this is the sound, the long sound. That is the inverted E with two colons. The last sound that you're going to learn is the short sound. This vowel is described as a central unrounded vowel just below half open position, and it occurs in the words about and forget, and also Taylor. So initially, medially, and finally we see that this sound does occur. So this was a description of the front vowels, the back vowels, and the central vowels. Now moving on to the combination of vowel sounds, also called as diphthongs. To diphthongs, there are three main vowels that are brought in combination with other vowels sounds, and they form the vowel glide. That is one vowel sound from one vowel sound, the glide happens to the other. So for there are three main vowel sounds that have combination. So first we're going to see the E sound. That's the I, the short version. So the E sound has A, I, and Oi. The words, the diphthongs A, I, and Oi. So when we describe these, the A sound is described as a glide from a front unrounded vowel just below the half closed position to a centralized front unrounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words aim, pain, and play, respectively. Next is the I sound. The I sound is described as a glide from a front open unrounded vowel to a centralized front unrounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words eyes, bite, and bite. The last combination of E, the diphthong, is oi sound, and that is described as a glide from a back round vowel between open and half open to a centralized front unrounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words oil, boil, and boy. So these are the three sounds that are produced, diphthongs that are produced along with the E sound. Moving on to the next, which is the oo sound. So the oo sound is produced as a diphthong along with o and ow. O and ow. So ow is described as a vowel sound. So it's described as a glide from unrounded position open to direction of RPO, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words out, bout, and cow. And then the O sound. O sound is described as a glide from a central unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position to a centralized back rounded vowel just above the half closed position, and it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words over, boat, and go. The last diphthong, the combination that we're going to see, is L, and this occurs in ear, ear, and air. And to describe them, ear is described as a glide from a centralized front unrounded vowel just above half closed to a central unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position. And it occurs in the sounds fear, earrings, fierce. And ua is described as a glide from a centralized back unrounded vowel just above half closed to a central unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position. And it occurs in the words during and cure in the medial and the final position. It does not occur in the initial position. Next is air. This sound is described as a front half open unrounded vowel to a central unrounded vowel between half closed and half open position. So it occurs initially, medially, and finally in the words aeroplane, careful, and care. So this was a description about the diphthongs. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you understood all about the vowels. Happy learning! Thank you.